Ladies and gentlemen, bass players around the world, bass players from Ohio and different parts of Detroit. Welcome to the Detroit Bass Players in the Basement. That's Bassmint. And tell us your name, sir.
Reginald Gay.
Reginald Gay, welcome to the Basement. That's Bassmint. I look forward to doing this interview with you, and there's going to be some funny spots in this one. But before we get to that,
Is that a setup?
no, I'm getting ready to talk about. Before we get to that, I'd like to introduce the other bass players here in the basement. That's Bassmint. And starting on my fret hand side, tell us your name.
Derwin Davis. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio.
Thank you for coming, Durham. Next thing, tell us your name, sir.
Moi? Oh, Pope Star, Pope Metropolis, Pope Panther.
Thank you for coming. Next thing, tell us your name.
Cynthia Willis.
Cynthia Willis. By the way, Pope and Cynthia are Detroit bass players in the basement, alumni. Welcome to the new basement, Cynthia, for the first time.
Yes.
Next, tell us your name.
Steve Burkhalter.
Speaking of the basement, this is his basement. Thank you, Steve, for hosting these and allowing us to use your
I'm an alumni
electricity.
too.
You're what?
I'm an alumni.
You're a multi-alumni. Thank you for allowing us to use your basement. And next to him, where is it? Oh, there you go.
Titus McCleary.
Titus McCleary. Thank you for joining us in the basement. Now I'm going to go to my pluck hand side, and we're going to talk to these people. Tell us your name, sir.
Earl Davis, aka Max Sprout on YouTube, 3-time alumni.
Yeah, lovely channel. Folks, check out his channel. Next thing, tell us your name.
Steve Tufel, and I'm pretty new to the basement. Happy to be here.
I'm glad we talked on Facebook.
Yep.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, met you down at Base Day 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and next thing, tell us your name, sir.
Don Max, by the way, have a new CD coming soon called Do What You Love.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to do.
No, you should have told us on your interview.
It wasn't done.
I didn't ask him what he had coming up. I'm sorry for another bass player I didn't ask. But tell us your name, sir.
Robert Lopaka Luckett.
One of my students. Thank you for showing up. And next to him, another one of my students. Tell us your name.
Morgan Garrett.
Morgan Garrett, another Detroit bass player.
Right.
How you feeling in the basement so far, Morgan?
I like it.
All right, cool. She's going to be doing
Got one behind you.
oh,
Two behind.
All the way around.
Yes.
Keep going.
yeah, it ain't going to happen.
Okay. Right.
We got a couple of more bass players behind us. Doug LeBeau.
Right. And
We're going to be doing an interview with him. Also, who else we got? Johan. We got
Carl.
Carl Hightaker. So we got bass players behind us. Just don't have enough room over here.
Right.
And I ain't gonna ask no grown man to sit on the floor right now. Until Victor come in here.
Right.
You know, Victor come in, y'all gonna have to sit on the floor.
No.
So anyway, sorry about that, Reggie. You had to introduce the panel because I appreciate all of you for coming, and I appreciate all of you who watch. and you all invited to attend the next one. It's probably going to be in May. And Reggie has been here before. That's what's so funny. I asked him, did he wear the same thing he wore last time? Because we did an interview with him at the last basement, and we had a flood situation. So we had to cut it short. But so redoing Reggie today. That was the funny thing. I asked him did he have on the same thing, so I can include the last time. But since he don't have on the same clothes, we're gonna do a whole interview.
I brought the same bass. That's the best I can do.
And he played the same intro song.
Yes.
That is awesome. And I'm about to ask you the same question I always ask you first. When did you start playing the bass and why?
Oh, wow. Oh, goodness. I'll say probably in my mid-teens, 15 maybe. And why? Because, well, my father bought my sister a guitar, and she didn't want to play. And so I would sneak and just play the top 4 strings. For some reason, I was drawn to the bass. So that just led to me, eventually my mom purchased a bass for me. I think I was maybe maybe even 16. Yeah.
That is awesome. Folks, I think I did pretty good about today's interviews, not making them about me. But this one, not clap on that. Okay. But this one I gotta include myself because me and this guy parallel. So,
Okay.
So,
All right.
so the next question I'd like to ask you is, what is that you got in your hand, brother? Yeah, that.
My side bass?
Yeah.
Yes. This is I want to say a 2023 V5 4-string Marcus Miller edition. And this is actually, I have a late 70s vintage Fender Jazz, and this comes really close to it in terms of its feel, and that's partly why I bought it. But yeah, it's got the jazz pickups, it's got the Dunlap nickel strings, round wounds. Yeah, I love it.
That is awesome. Who are some of your favorite bass players? Like mentors or just listening to, even if you don't know the bass player.
My list is long. The first bass player, I think it was Verdine White was one of my. I admired the music arrangement, his playing. James Jamerson, Marcus Miller, obviously, William Pope, Lamont Johnson.
May he rest in peace.
Yes. Definitely. Al Turner,
Yes.
a guy that a lot of people aren't aware of. And if you listen to the Jazz Crusaders, Robert Popswell.
There you go.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
he was just phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
I wouldn't even try to play some of the things that he was doing way back then, but he was amazing.
Yes.
Who else? Of course, Stanley Clark, Victor Wooten. And it's funny, as you learn how to play, there was a period when I wouldn't even try to take on a lot of what those guys were doing, but I was so inspired by so many of them. I mentioned James Jamerson, right?
Another Detroit bass player. May he rest in peace.
Goodness. Reggie McBride.
Another Detroit bass player.
There's so many. Kern,
Yeah.
Brand.
Another
Yes, sir.
Of course. And we talked about, who else? Oh, my list is long. Ralph Armstrong.
Yeah, okay, so that's funny. He telling you what your favorites are.
No.
Because I know.
That was funny, Paul.
I know his favorites.
All right, so look. Now here's why I hate to do this, but I met this guy back in 1975.
What?
As a freshman in high school, he was a junior in high school. We both went to Eastside, and we both played trombone. And like I said the last time, when I came over to the high school, I thought that I was always number one trombone. Then when I went to Easter High in the 9th grade, thinking I'm gonna be number one.
What year is this?
1975. It was this other guy who humbled me. You know, I got an ego, right? He humbled me because he was this great trombone player in high school, Herman Hayes, right?
Yes. I was going to say, please, it wasn't me.
Right. So, but me and him battled.
Herman Hayes, Marvin Whitehead,
him and me when I was a freshman. And I always like to remember that I came in second chair, but apparently my memory is faulty. But that's okay. So that's our connection way back then. And then fast forward to the day, the church that I used to play at, I gave him the job. He's been telling me for the last 5 years, if you want that gig back, it's yours. And I said, it's yours. Quit saying I can get it back. But he did allow me to sub for him one day, and I appreciate that. And anytime you need a sub, that's it. It's your job, okay? He played. And to me, he's a legend. Jerry bass player. I'm gonna mention some of the people we play with. And at the church, he plays with the legendary Michael Moore, and the legendary Michael Moore plays guitar, by the way, and the legendary Timothy Williams, who plays the drums, who used to tour with Carl Carlton and the band Mama Jamma Day. So all of these people are the musicians at, I was about to say, my church. His church, thank you for that. Other parallel we have is we recorded at the same studio for the Mike Moore studio. What's the name of his studio? Mike
Viking.
Moore? The Viking recordings of Viking Studio, where a lot of people go right now. Some of Detroit's finest bass players, drummers, everybody that's been in Ron Otis, Mike Harrington. The names going on who goes to record there. Me and him had the pleasure. We on a few records.
Robert Skinner.
Yes.
And sometimes when you record in the studio and you record records, they go and you don't know who's going to.
Right.
But I appreciate that parallel that me and him share. And I'm sorry that I had to include myself in that, but that's what I had to do. And you mentioned that you cut your teeth in the studio, and one of the people that you had the pleasure of recording with is the awesome saxophone player Randy Scott. I forget which album it is, but his list of recordings go on and on. How was it to get on that, get to play with Randy Scott?
Wow. Well, it was actually amazing. He contacted me because he knew I played in the past. I played with a gospel group called Sunlight, and we were coming up around the time when Commission was really busy with Fred and those guys. I forgot to mention Fred Hammond. And we actually, talking about cutting my teeth, my first serious band was in church, and we were immediately working on an album project. So I was like, my head was spinning because I was in the studio reading charts and learning about 12 songs. We did get it done. And we pressed, at that time, 45s, LP, and all that.
Right.
And we backed some other artists. But that was like a dream come true. Fast forward to 2 years ago, when Randy was working on his latest CD, he had heard me play and some of the music that I had, because he teaches. He teaches at a middle school. He's just an awesome guy.
And he plays sax, by the way.
He plays sax. He plays keyboards. And I found out recently he used to play upright bass. Anyway, he said one of the songs for his CD. He said he wanted to try just experimentation, try something different. and he said he needed a bass sound. He said he said he could use the mode, which he did to an extent, but he said he needed that live feel of a bass, some thumping and plucking and so forth. And so he sent me the charts, sent me the recording, and he said, come up with something. So I put together 2 concepts, and he gave me a date. He says, just be at my studio at this particular time. And of course, I'm nervous because he's triple platinum, gold. If he should have gotten the Grammys years ago, the music he's arranged and written. Anyway, I went into the session. He just looked at me and he said, "Are you ready?" And I said, "Yes." And I will tell you, amongst my colleagues here, I was nervous as can be. I will tell you, because I knew how serious he is about his music. And to me, it was more of a sacred journey because, truth be told, he's he gets really spiritual about his music arrangements. So anyway, he said he had his back to me, and he said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, let's just run through it." So the track started, and I started. Now his back was to me. He turned around. He said, "That's exactly what I want." He said, "Okay, we're going. Okay." So then that was even worse because now I'm really tight. Right? You would think, right? I was excited, but naturally you're thinking, "Oh, I can't mess up. So anyway, we went through it, and it went well. He said when it's done, he says, "You know what?" He says, "I think I'm going to use this on." As a cut on my CD that's coming out, and sure enough, it made it. And he just contacted me last week, and he said they're going to do a release, a single release of that particular cut. He's had 2 that were #1 on the Billboard charts for several weeks, and he says he decided that he's going to release "Fixation" is the name of the tune.
Nice.
And I just count it such a blessing that just have had that opportunity. But I will tell you, there was a period where raising your family, as we do life in general, I couldn't pick up my bass every day, because I'm doing all the other things that you do, be it you're getting through school or your job and so forth. But I always made time for it, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad I did, because had I not been ready for that opportunity,
Yeah.
Right.
they
We would have passed you by. There you go.
asked me by. So
It was yours.
yeah, so it's been such a blessing, and he's already told me he wants to do other projects, include me on them, and I've just been fortunate to do a lot of studio work that I hadn't planned on, and the point about charts and so forth. I'm reading charts. I think our high school training had a lot to do with that. As a matter of fact,
bass clef.
yes.
That's right, trombone.
Yes. So for me, which you said so perfectly, the bass can be, for me, it's been just a haven, a place where I find it's like a sanctuary to life, and when everything else, and I will tell you, and my wife sometimes gets upset. First thing I do in the morning is I pick my bass up. Last thing I do before I go to bed, I'm going through a couple, just trying to keep my chops up. So it's been a significant part of my life, and I'm at the point now where I'm doing some career changing, and I'm finding a little more time. I'm rushing through kind of my career path because it's been pretty awesome. I've had some wonderful people in my life. Studied with Lamont Johnson for about 2 years. And that was such a blessing. I've had other phenomenal bass players like William Pope here take the time. The thing about the bass players I've noticed in general, I have never met a group of people that are more giving and sharing of their knowledge and experiences.
I agree.
So it's
I saw that at NAMM.
It's been pretty awesome.
Yeah. So look, I ain't want to keep you. You know that, right?
Right.
But
He said, now he's
like
comfortable.
rushing me
We didn't
through.
get him out. What? Just got
yeah,
started.
no, I'm not rushing you, but
No, it's okay.
I don't want to keep people because the sun is out there shining. It's windy,
Finally.
so watch out for that.
Yeah.
But I did want to know, did anybody else have any questions for this fine bass player?
Yeah, I got one question.
Yes, sir.
So that Sire, how did that feel to you when you first got it? Because I know I have a 4-string, and I didn't bring it because if I was to play it, I would stop. He'd have to kick me out of here. So how was that for you playing that?
Oh, it's nice. Like I said, I have a late 70s vintage Fender, and the fill is it's a rosewood neck, natural body, and this is probably as close as it's come. You know, there's a few little things, but no, it's hard to put down.
Yeah, see?
It really is.
That's why I didn't bring it. I couldn't bring it.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else got any questions?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Just because I don't know, and I'm only here for a short time. So, you've obviously played some wonderful stuff with some wonderful people, but what else do you do? I'm just curious, because you had said you're on a different career path change, and what does it take to be a musician in the Detroit area and to make a living and support a family?
Side job.
Yeah.
I'm a senior creative designer for General Motors.
Wow.
And that's been awesome as well because, believe it or not, how I say just God's grace, we have a band. It's called Design Center Band. And in the midst of me, and they didn't find out about my playing. I was 20 some odd years into the company before they found out I played. Partly because I didn't want them to think that I had anything else going on that would distract me from what they hired me to do.
Right.
You know, as a creative designer,
Integrity.
it's huge that you are committed and you are showing them that you're visual, forward thinking, and because we're working on projects 4 and 5 years out. But the fact that they had a band and they asked me, one of our vice presidents was retiring at the time, Ed Welburn, and they asked me if I would play, and that was when I cracked that door open. And so it's a collaborative effort. We had a full horn section. We had 2 keyboard players, vocalists. We had a saxophone player who charted all our music out, especially for the horn section. For me, it was basically chord charts. We had 2 guitarists, and the shows that we put on were like top notch. We play, one of the highlights of it, we play 3 or 4 times a year for the company. We have what we call all people meetings, and then which we play at the beginning and the end. But then it was just a couple years ago, we had the Grand Prix, and at the Grand Prix, which is held downtown, they have a grand premiere, which is an event where all the drivers, and they just finished up at Indy, the Indy 500 winner comes for the Detroit Grand Prix. They asked our band to play for that event.
Wow.
And it was pretty amazing. First rate, we had great sound, and the biggest, what I call, is kind of interesting, the executives and the drivers and CEOs, they didn't believe that we were all employees for the design, but we are all designers.
Isn't it amazing how we all feel that we have to separate?
Well, that's a whole nother issue.
Okay, we got 2 things going on. What was you saying?
I was saying, isn't it interesting how in some ways we feel we have to separate the different areas of our life? You know, when they're really, music is so integral to everything. It's like when I became a minister, I never stopped being an arranger. When I became an arranger, I didn't stop being They really all go together, and isn't it funny how your life was enriched and rewarded but when that door opened?
Oh my God, I can't tell you how much it's, I mean, I had to pinch myself. I said, this is, from my perspective, it was only God that allowed me to have the job that I love doing, and then allow me to do the hobby or the other passion. My life was divided in 3 passions: art, music, and machines. We'll say cars, motorcycles, and so forth. And I revolved all my time around those 3 things. Nothing else. If one wasn't going on, I was doing the other. So this was an opportunity to have the best of both worlds, and at an extremely high level.
Wait a minute. Is somebody asleep over here?
Why you let me on this gentleman?
His face was sorry face, so we don't know.
No. I got a real.
All right, so somebody else got a question for you?
Yes.
So they hired you guys to do the Grand Prix. And was there compensation for you guys? I mean, you had a big band, full horn section, and everything.
Yeah,
They paid you guys good.
we did fine.
I got a question for the fine bass player.
Anybody?
Do you? My question is, do you have any of your own songs that you've made up?
Great question.
Because most people play, and then sometimes you don't know that they made up songs, and maybe they may not be out, but you still, you know what I mean? Like it's still, you may have something. He makes up hundreds of songs.
Well, I have a few, and they're in progress.
Okay.
And yeah, I like the creative process on. Well, yeah, you know that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just want everybody else to know. That's what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions?
So does your GM band get a chance to do any other corporate type gigs?
Let's see.
Probably not for Stellantis or Ford, I would assume.
No, absolutely not. Usually, the Woodward Cruise, the band is usually there. We have an event where we call it GM at the Park, and the band will usually play. But from time to time we're hired, and for hire.
So you said that after 20-something years, they finally asked you to play in the band. How did they find out you played?
Well, there was a few musicians that we were talking about music, and I just shared with them, I play a little bit, and then they asked me to sit in with one of the rehearsals, and they said, "Oh, we'd like to."
Yeah, I'm sure they
That's your little
I'm
bit.
sure
That's
they
what we
will.
all say.
Really?
Well, and again, our job one is the job one, which is automotive manufacturing and design. So I had, this was a special occasion. Being transparent, our vice president was retiring, and it's kind of funny. I was asked to play, and he picked out a couple songs, and I won't name them specifically, but he walked in when we were all set up, ready to go. We had already done our sound check, and he walked in and he stopped, and he looked at me. He said, "Can I continue?"
Yeah.
He said, "Reginald Gay," and he looked at me. He says, "You play?" I said, "Yes." He says, Where's the photographer? I want you to take shots of him from every angle. He was in shock because I was so busy, and I will tell you, I was so busy doing my job. And again, my point was, you don't want them to think that you've got, not that they're looking for a reason to jettison anyone, but you never know. Yeah. I call it wisdom. Yes. You let them know that, hey, I'm taking care of all these things, at the highest level. Oh, but by the way, which we're all multifaceted individuals. What we see here is just a small part of. Usually, there's two or three other things that are going on in our lives. So anyway, he was shocked and couldn't believe it. It was at that point I figured, well, okay, it's out, and I'm gonna just continue what's going on. But
has it enhanced your relationship with your work and your coworkers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
we're so afraid of that,
Yeah, no, and the way it's set up, you have all different disciplines. You have the shop guy, the machinist. You have technicians. We had managers who are leading programs. In my case, I was a designer, creative designer. And that's to me what was the key. We took all the different disciplines and we came together to make music. And man, it was unbelievable. It was just a wonderful overall experience. We're sharing our talents and gifts, and very rewarding, extremely rewarding.
Fantastic.
Anybody else have any questions for this fine music?
Interesting question.
Do you find a different texture or a different playing experience with the roasted neck? Because I don't have a roasted neck, but I've been hearing about them.
Yes. Well, this one in particular, because it's actually, it has like an epoxy coating over it. Now I have a Music Man that's natural roasted, and it's totally different than this. But yeah, it's definitely different, and not in a bad way. I mean,
Sound way or texture?
sound way, yeah, it's different. It's and it's good. I mean, I think it's good. I love it.
Anybody else? All right, so look, Mr. Reginald Gay, a friend of mine since 1975, who I didn't know he played bass until Bass Day 2000 and something.
Yeah.
I saw him at the Bass Day with a bass, and I was like,
He's like, what are you doing here?
yeah.
It was that same reaction I got from the vice president. You play. Oh, let me add just one little note to that, which I have to say this. I'm referring to Ed Welburn, he was the first African American to lead a global company for General Motors, but he went to Howard University. He's also a very good friend, or actually classmate, with Herbie Hancock. And so he has an infinity for an appreciation for jazz and music in general. So he was in full support of the band while we were making music there.
That is awesome. So look, Reggie, is there anything that you would like to say in closing?
Oh, so much. I mean, I feel like I'm among royalty. I'll say that. First and foremost, what I've learned, and I'm learning from the bass players and from Michigan, Detroit, and everywhere in general. Just this whole the fact that you pulled this thing together, and there's so much sharing and so much knowledge. To me, it's priceless. I am not a showman. I'll put it that way. But in the presence of you guys, I feel really comfortable, and I feel like I could share and learn. And I'm learning a lot. I mean, there's just incredible wisdom and knowledge, and it's so appreciative. I'm just thankful for the opportunities and Big Eye, what you do, and what everyone else does in terms of representing this instrument, and just the music business in general. And the rich history here in Michigan, Detroit, it's priceless.
Any advice for anybody up and coming, whether they're 5 or 55 and over? Any advice?
Oh man, I say it's never too late. It's never too late.
Never.
And you can even take a break from it and come back to it.
Yep.
Don't feel as though because I tell people take 5 minutes a day. That 5 minutes can turn into 10 minutes, and before you know it, you'll be getting up in the morning first thing, and before you go to bed, and you can't stop. And it's because of what it does to your innards, and you feel, you see the progress. There's nothing like it. I mean, don't give up on yourself. Stay with it. You love it.
I'd like to thank you for coming to the basement, hanging out with us.
Yes.
I'd like to remind everybody that's sitting here, thank you very much for showing up, and all you bass players out there, it don't matter your skill level.
Right.
Please come and hang out with us in the basement. It's informative.
Yes.
It's a lot of stuff that goes on, not during recording. We have fun up in here. So with that said, Reggie, could you play us out, please, sir?
Go ahead, Funk Master.
Funk
Master.
Oh my goodness. This is the hardest part.
show the best.
What you talking about?
Abraham.